Okay, this is going to be the white thumbnail version of the Lando Norris audio at Abu Dhabi 2021. The last 5 laps during that fraudulent Nicholas Latifi safety car period. So it's analysing the communications between Norris and his race engineer and breaking it down and exposing what is wrong with it. You can see, just as on these thumbnails, this one of Alonso's car, that's only a 10-minute long video. I will be removing that at some point so that we have, as a reference point on this channel, all of the audios, black and white thumbnails. The actual black ones are the uninterrupted audio and the white ones are my analysis of it. So like I say, this one is Norris, and it's about context. In every single one of these things, you've got to consider context. The context being, what does this race matter to people? And what a safety car has been deployed, racing has been neutralised. So how does that impact each of the drivers that remain? So let's focus on that in the first instance. Obviously, starting at the top, we're looking at the Drivers' World Championship. As a standalone race, yes, every driver would like to win a Grand Prix. They'd like to stand on the top step of the podium and have it on their record that they've won a Grand Prix. So yes, every driver aspires to that. Failing that, they'd like a position on the podium because that in itself is an achievement. Failing that, they'd like to finish as high up as they can, obviously, to collect as many World Championship points as they can. And obviously, if you have never finished higher than, for example, 8th, any position you do finish higher than that, well, that's another achievement because it's the highest you've ever finished in a Grand Prix. So all these things are relevant to each driver. But going into Abu Dhabi 2021, you've got the two title contenders level on points. We know the situation that really you should take away the Belgian parade because it was in no way a race. Verstappen was awarded a race win for nothing that took place. He was awarded 12.5 points, and Hamilton was gifted 7.5 points, and neither should have had anything. Nobody should have got anything from that because nothing took place. They did that so that they didn't have to refund the fans. Okay, that's again, it's corruption. Okay, you've somehow managed to dupe the fans of the sport that the fans of the sport have witnessed some sort of competition. No, they haven't. No, they haven't. Nothing took place other than a parade of cars. Anyway, down the list, third place in the championship was Valtteri Bottas. He's well over 100 points behind the two lead cars. He's 150 points behind Hamilton and Verstappen. So Bottas has got nothing to play for, really. He can't improve on third position, and he's 28 points ahead of Perez. He can't go down. Perez isn't going to catch him. So on to Perez. Perez is not going to catch Bottas, and he can't be caught by, or can he be caught? No, he can't. He can't. He's 32 points ahead of Leclerc. So Perez is safe in fourth. It doesn't matter really to Perez either. Leclerc in fifth, 158 points. And this is where it gets interesting. Norris in sixth, 154 points. Carlos Sainz in seventh, 149.5 points. So just 8.5 points cover those three competitors, positions 5, 6 and 7 in the championship. Look at the top four. They're the Mercedes and the Red Bull drivers. Okay, everybody knew that they were the two most competitive teams. If you are the 5th place driver in that championship, you're the best of the rest. And that in itself is significant. That says something about you as a driver. Okay, number one, you've beaten your teammate. That's important for drivers. Number two, okay, in not the best car, you've beaten everybody else. So therefore, when other teams are looking for their drivers, they take notice of things like that. How did you perform relative to your machinery and relative to your teammate and relative to the cars around you? It's a big thing. So had Norris has a chance of securing 5th in the championship, which would have been his highest championship finish. Even to date, that would be his highest championship finish. Obviously, this year he's, looks like he's on course for second place. Whether he catches Verstappen, who knows? But short of a major breakdown with the Red Bull car, I don't think Verstappen can be caught this year. So you're 4 points away from fifth place in the championship, but at the same token, you're 4.5 points ahead of being relegated to 7th. Okay, so there's a lot of jeopardy on the line. And we'll just continue down the list just to see. I mean, Carlos Sainz himself is, 34.5 points ahead of Ricciardo. So Sainz is secure. The lowest he can be is 7th. But he could potentially get 5th. Leclerc is in 5th. Could finish anywhere between 5th, 6th or 7th. Norris, likewise, could be anywhere of 5th, 6th or 7th. Achieving 5th would be massive. If Norris can finish ahead of the 2 Ferraris, that's a massive thing for him. That shows that in a McLaren, he's beat, and you look at his teammate that season, Daniel Ricciardo, Norris alone, ahead of his teammate, has beaten the 2 Ferraris. That would be massive. You go beyond Ricciardo. So again, when you look at the form of the cars, you've got the 2 Mercedes, you've got the 2 Red Bulls, you've got the 2 Ferraris, you've got the 2 McLarens. The 5th best car then, well, is it the 5th best car? In the 5th best car, Pierre Gasly on 100 points. He'd need 15 points, which is a 3rd place or better. Well, you need better than 3rd place to pass Ricciardo. Unlikely in an AlphaTauri. Then you got the 2 Alpines of Alonso and Ocon. They're not going to catch anybody. They might overtake each other, but realistically, then Alonso's 23 points behind Gasly. He's not going to go anywhere really. Vettel then is 43 points compared to Ocon 72. Well, that's 29 points behind. Vettel's going nowhere. Stroll is 34 points to Vettel's 43. Not a lot's going to happen there. And then you've got Yuki Tsunoda on 20 in the 2nd AlphaTauri. George Russell on 16th, he's out of the race. Raikkonen 10, he's out of the race. Then we scroll down. Latifi, well, he's out of the race. Giovinazzi is out of the race. Mick Schumacher, 0 points all season. Was running 14th, 15th. Kubica only raced a few races. And Nikita Mazepin, well, he didn't even start that race. I believe he got COVID. So, essentially, within that race, the drivers who it actually mattered to, realistically, in terms of what it meant to the season-long championship for them and their ability to actually change position within the championship, is Leclerc, Norris and Sainz. So this is important. Okay, put yourself in that position. You are a Formula 1 driver. Okay, Daddy is a multi-millionaire and managed to get you a seat in the McLaren team. Whoopie-doo. Okay, so you're a Formula 1 driver, but you've still got to prove yourself, and you still want to give yourself, you want to have a good career. You want to win things. You want to win Grand Prix. You want to win World Championships. You want to be seen as a good driver. You want to have the opportunity when they arise of being in the best car, which is going to give you the best chance of winning a World Championship. To do that, you've got to demonstrate your ability. You've got to make other teams realise how good you are. And one of the things that they'll look at is how consistent you are and where you're going to finish in the championship. This all goes without saying. You all know this. Okay, so this does matter to Norris. Now, back at this timestamp, 1:20:47, this was before the mysterious puncture. Norris's race engineer gave him this.
Okay, Lando, I need 100% pace, please. 100% pace, I'll explain.
Well, he never did explain. Okay, this was on the way down to turn 9. That's turn 9 there. Now Lando went around the track, past the pit entrance, pushed hard for another lap, and then got told to box. Changed onto mediums, and then we saw how the race panned out. At the time he went into box, it was Christian Horner was just asking for his miracle from the racing gods. Christian Horner was actually being interviewed as this is going on. There's correlations, but what we need to look at is this.
It's true.
If we look at the race situation at that point in time.
So Verstappen just took a...
Sorry about the audio keep kicking in. Lando Norris, before he pitted with this supposed slow puncture, he was in 5th position. Okay, his lap times were all consistent. You didn't see a drop off in his lap times in and around that time, which would indicate that there was any issue with the car. You didn't hear Lando complain that there was any issue with the car. If you have a slow puncture, if you have a tyre deflation, then what is going to happen is you're going to feel that car handled differently. It might pull to one side, it will brake differently, and it will just handle differently. Lando seemed oblivious to this. These Formula One drivers, they have incredible feel for their car. That's what gives them the ability to compete at that level, driving cars like that at them speeds. Okay, they've got tremendous feel for what is going on. Okay, that's how they can, when the car gets out of shape, that's how they can recover it. If they didn't have that feel, if they didn't have the ability to feel it like twitching on them or losing grip and knowing exactly how to respond to it, they'd be in the wall all the time. Okay, so they know. At this stage, Lando Norris, 5th position, which is on course for 10 World Championship points. 10 World Championship points relative to Leclerc, who is out of the points, makes Norris jump Leclerc into 5th place. Okay, he's ahead of Leclerc by 6 points. Now, Carlos Sainz, remember, was 8.5 points. Let's just double check. Carlos Sainz is in 4th position, which is on course for 12 points. And let's just double check what 12 points is going to make a difference to Carlos Sainz's position. So Sainz on course for 12, Norris on course for 10. We'll go back to the championship standings. So 12 points added to Sainz takes him to 161.5. And Leclerc's out of the points. So that jumps Sainz above Leclerc. Add 10 to Norris, 164. So what this does, in the present situation, 10 or 12 laps to go before Norris pits, about 10 laps to go, Norris would be on course for 164. That puts him to 5th in the championship. Sainz would be on course for 161.5, puts him 6th in the championship, and that has dropped Leclerc down to 7th. So that's what we're on course for. Then we get this supposed slow puncture. Norris then comes back out on track. Well, let's have a look where he comes back out on track. I'm going to play the audio that's being played as Norris is coming around the track. If I actually went to this view, and I'll do it for just a second. All right, I'll do it for just a second because otherwise it will block this on copyright.
So yeah.
Oh, on the global feed they show us live that Lando is pitting. Isn't it incredible that they know to cut to Lando to show him going into the pits? But we've got who's talking?
Position, you've got clean air. So yeah, we're disappointed in that decision, but it is what it is, and we're just getting on with it.
So we've got Christian Horner being interviewed, asking for help from the racing gods and a miracle. You've got interjected by F1 TV, Ferrari, it appears, saying, I think it is Ferrari to Carlos Sainz, going, possibly a slow puncture for Norris, possibly a slow puncture for Norris. So again, F1 TV have selected that message for the world to hear. I don't know how they detected that there was a slow puncture for Norris on the grounds that Norris has been told to push. I'll explain later. And then he's pushed. He hasn't slowed. And then just as he's approached the pits, box. And then somehow Ferrari is saying possibly a slow puncture for Norris. Makes me wonder who's reading off what script. But you can see Norris has already, having pitted, you can see pit there. Okay, so he's going to drop down the order. Carry on listening to Christian.
Norris, possibly a low puncture for Norris.
They just had a quicker car when you look at the pace that they've got on these worn tyres, but still 10 laps to go.
The pace on these worn tyres, says Christian. The pace on these worn tyres, it's all about the tyres, isn't it? Worn tyres. Who's on the worn tyres?
Thanks ever so much, Christian. Lando Norris pits, slow puncture for Lando Norris, and that.
See, and Sky were David Croft was able to identify it's a slow puncture.
Forced him into the pits, and well, that just compounds what has been a bit of a disappointing night in terms of technical difficulties. He was doing a super job, but he's been relegated now down to 8th. Bottas up into 5th place, Tsunoda 6th, Gasly 7th. Ted, down to you.
So, Norris actually, by the time he comes out the pits, comes out behind Ocon and Alonso. So he's dropped from 5th down to 10th. Dropped from having 10 points down to 1 point. So, what does that mean? Well, that means he can't overtake Charles Leclerc, can it? With 1 point. Leclerc's 4 points ahead of him. And now, Sainz has not only leapfrogged Norris, he's also leapfrogged Leclerc. So, this has actually put Norris from 6th down to 7th. Because Sainz has moved to 5th in the championship. Leclerc will be 6th and Norris will be 7th. That's how it stands right now after pitting Norris. Tell us, Ted.
Lando Norris. Yeah, it was just if he does. Team radio.
And we've seen Norris with a front left puncture, so just be careful on the curbs.
That's the curb.
And Mercedes, again, F1 TV want to play the world that information. We all need to know about Norris's puncture, everybody.
That's the thing.
Because that's the thing.
See, Lando's problems were sorted from early on. He was just being told on the radio to be careful about deployment, but that's just an energy recovery, a hybrid system, a bit of advice from his engineers. But these curbs, Pirelli were worried about them coming here because they're aggressive, like they're aggressive.
They're really aggressive. No, they're not really aggressive. Okay.
In Qatar, where we saw some front left punctures. So has this Grand Prix got a...
And they grinded them down, so there should no longer be a problem. If they've identified a problem and resolved the problem, that problem should not be a problem anymore. Oh, we had punctures at the last race, and that could be to the curbs. So we'll get lads out there with the angle grinders, and we'll grind them curbs down. Okay, that solved the problem.
Further tyre twist in it, Crofty.
Have we, Ted? Have we got a further...
Yeah, because they're aggressive, like they're aggressive in Qatar, where we saw some front left punctures. So has this Grand Prix got a further tyre twist in it, Crofty? Surely not.
Surely not. Surely not.
Just as Christian Horner was saying, we need a miracle to win the race from here. They angle grinded down some of the curves on Thursday nights. Friday night, I should say, just to make them a little less aggressive. But sadly for Lando Norris,
to make them less aggressive, a little bit more passive now, a bit more chilled. Okay, thank you for that. As you can see in this list, Norris has overtaken Ocon fairly quickly. All right.
He's got a slow puncture.
So we think the problem curbs maybe just turn 15, turn 16.
So turns 15 and 16, the final.
See, Mercedes have identified as well the problem curbs are 15 and 16. Incredible, isn't it? Incredible.
2 corners.
And it's incredible that F1 TV want to play that to the world. Oh, the tyre twist. Oh, be careful of the tyres, the tyres, the tyres. Are we going to have a tyre twist, I wonder?
On the track, taken at about 160 miles an hour and then taken...
A lot of coincidences in this race, isn't there?
What, the final corner, around about 93 miles.
Meaning a lot of things coincide with one another. Is this authentic, or are these things being contrived to coincide with one another, to build the rich tapestry that unfolds before our very eyes?
Miles an hour.
Of course, we saw this in Qatar, didn't we? In terms of tyres not enjoying consistent pounding. In fact, Valtteri Bottas was.
Yes, so to ensure that they didn't have to endure that consistent pounding, they did something about the curbs, didn't they, Martin? This is what the FIA do. They do a review of the previous event. They saw what went right, what went wrong, how they can improve things for future events. Oh, the curbs caused a problem for the tyres. Let's go and inspect the curbs at Abu Dhabi to try and ensure we don't get that same issue. Oh, this curb looks a little bit on the race side. Let's get some lads here with the ankle grinders and we'll shave them down a little bit to make it less of an issue for those tyres. Hopefully that will do the job so there won't be similar issues at this Grand Prix. That's their job, Martin.
Was the first one to find out, unfortunately for him.
This is Lando Norris, currently down in 9th place. And down in 9th place because on the fresher set of the medium compound tyre, he's managed to get past Esteban Ocon. Lando Norris, who races all the way to the line, especially.
See, Lando races all the way to the line, doesn't he? Okay? Because everybody wants to see a racing finish.
Here in Abu Dhabi, after a few seasons ago, we had a stellar last lap in his Grand Prix debut season.
Oh, a stellar last lap at Abu Dhabi, racing all the way to the line. You couldn't make it up, could you?
Came home to finish in 8th place.
Or maybe you could. Again, these guys have got a photographic memory of this, haven't they? They're able to draw on all these things to talk about, but they don't know the safety car rules. Lando races all the way to the line. He had a stellar Grand Prix here, a stellar last lap at the Abu Grand Prix in his debut season. See, they know all about this. But, oh, safety car, shit. What happens now? Nobody knows. It's roll the dice time. No, it's not like that, lads. All it is there's a safety incident. Now we need to deal with the safety incident, so we need to neutralise this race. All of the advantages that had been built up between every competitor, they all get wiped out. And what we have to do now is carry out this procedure before we can go racing. Firstly, we need to deal with the issue that caused the safety incident in the first place. So that needs to be cleared up, and we need to make the track safe. We need to make sure that all the marshals that are clearing it up are then clear of the track, and that the barriers are checked so that the track is declared safe. Once we've done that, we then carry out this procedure, which is to make sure all of the remaining competitors that are running are lined up in the correct race order, first down to the last remaining competitor. All of the previously built up advantages are wiped out between each competitor. Then, and only then, can we get going again. Go and have a look at the Alonso analysis. I'll go through the regulations. That's what them regulations are there for. You go through each and every one of those elements in the safety car regulations from 48.9 to 48.12, and that is essentially all they're about. You cannot go racing until you've achieved that condition. That safety car doesn't get withdrawn until you achieve that condition. But the commentators go, oh, they don't have to do that, I don't think. But that's normally when it's raining on a wet day in Belgium. And if they do decide to get those cars out of the way of just the race between the cars that we want to see race each other, how long will they wait for them to get out of the way, says Brundle. Lying to you. Go through the regulations. You find any part of the regulations where Brundle's words hold true. None of them do. None of them do. So, what we're talking about is Norris's race. Okay? They know about... Look, they've just given you the narrative. He's got a tyre problem. Are we in for another tyre twist, Crofty? Surely not. Lando Norris races to the end all the time. Always races to the line, does Lando, with a stellar last lap here in Abu Dhabi. Darren Brown shit, this is.
Place still racing to the line now.
Normal service resumed now then for Lewis Hamilton, straight back in.
And okay, so Norris has emerged from the pits, having changed onto those medium compound tyres. He's been up against Ocon, who's on the old hard tyre. He passed him easily. Alonso had changed onto mediums back on about lap 36 or so. We're on about 49 now. Yeah, so that's right, 13 lap old mediums. Norris has passed him. Next up the road is Pierre Gasly. All right, so Norris 11.5 seconds back from Pierre Gasly. And ahead of Gasly is Tsunoda, just another 2.9 seconds ahead of Gasly. So again, look at this position. Leclerc, 12th position. Norris is now in 8th. 8th position gets you what? How many World Championship points? 4. 8th position, 4 World Championship points. That puts him level on points in the championship with Leclerc. That would then go on count back to see who's got the most amount of race wins, or second place or third place. Not sure who wins that one. Not sure who wins that. But to actually overtake him and be sure of winning, because let's just say that Leclerc might have a podium or an extra podium more than Lando might have got. Again, speculation without checking. In fact, let me see if it's easy for me to do now. I'm not sure if I can, but let's have a quick look. Looking at these season-long results, we've got a 12 point there. Remember the top 3, you get 25 for the win, 18 for second, 15 for third. So let's look for the big numbers first. We've got an 18. So Leclerc has got a second place at that Grand Prix, whichever one that one is. So we've got a second for Leclerc. Let's see what Norris has got. We've got a 15 there. So a third for Norris. Another 15 there. Another third. A 15 there. Another third. We've got an 18 there. So there's a second for Norris. So on that basis, let's assuming there's nothing on the sprints. No. So we've got a second place for Norris, and we've got 1, 2, 3 third places. So for Leclerc, have we got any third places? No. So I would suggest, again, I believe this is how they work it out. It would be firstly, who's got the most number of race wins? Well, neither has won. Who's got the most number of second place? They've both got 1. Who's got the most number of third place? Well, that would be then Norris with 3 to Leclerc's 0. So I would suggest that then Norris would, by getting 4 points to equal the 158, would make him then 5th in the championship. Actually, no, that would make him overtake Leclerc. But remember, that's only put him on 158, and Carlos Sainz is in. Let's go back to here. Carlos Sainz is now in 4th position, on course for 12 points, so he's going to leapfrog them both. So Norris is still in 6th. So what does now Norris need to do? Norris needs to overhaul Sainz. Sainz is in 4th place, on course for 12. Let's just go back to that screen and let's determine how many points Norris actually needs between now and the end of the race. So 12 points for Sainz. This is ignoring the fact that Perez ultimately retires, boosting Sainz to 3rd, so he gets 15. Assuming we're not going to get any dirty shenanigans, this is how your mindset has got to be if you are Norris. Not predicting the future of Perez retiring. Your opponent at this stage, because the other one is out of the points in 12th, Leclerc, your opponent is Sainz. He's on course for 12, which is going to put him on 161.5. You then need 8 points to get 162. So 8 points is finishing 6th in that race. That's right, isn't it? Yeah. 8 points is 6th. If you get 8 points, then you'll overcome Sainz. So let's have a look. What does he need to do? Go back to this one. He's in 8th. He needs 6th. It means he's got to get past Gasly and he's got to get past Tsunoda. If he passes Tsunoda, then that means he finishes 5th in the World Championship. So he's got now, they're on lap 51 and 58. They've got 7 laps for him to chase down Gasly and chase down Tsunoda. Gasly's on medium compound tyres. Tsunoda is on 26 lap old hard tyres. Remember, Norris was running ahead of Bottas in that race. Norris was running in 5th. So Norris had the pace that race. He had the pace to be ahead of Bottas. He had the pace to be ahead of Tsunoda. He had the pace to be ahead of Gasly. So he is the faster car. He's now on fresh tyres, so therefore he should be able to utilise them tyres to hopefully close in on Gasly, close in on Tsunoda, and he would hope, obviously, to overcome both of them cars and give him that chance of 5th in the championship. That's what he's got to hope to do. That's what, if you're a Formula 1 racing driver, that is what you've got to attempt to do. That is how it affects you directly and your career. Your standing in the championship. You being the first driver in that championship after the 2 Mercs and the 2 Red Bulls. So, with that context, okay, knowing that that is going to be what you're really passionate about trying to achieve, knowing that you had it in your grasp and it was only this notion of, oh, we need you to push 100%, I'll tell you later. And he pushed. He did push 100%, and obviously if there's a problem with your car, you shouldn't be pushing 100% because there's a safety concern. If there is a slow puncture, there's a greater risk of that tyre exploding and you losing control. And when you lose control of a car and it careers into a barrier, well, you don't know what the outcome's going to be. So any team telling their driver to push hard when they know that there's a fault with the car, well, that's negligent. That is negligent. That shouldn't be happening. So we have to question the authenticity of this supposed puncture. That 5th place in the championship has been removed from his grasp. It's put him down to here, so now he needs to have the bit between his teeth to get it back. He's taken 2 cars already. Now it's not hammer time because he's not Lewis Hamilton. Now he's got to work hard for the next 7 laps to chase down them 2 AlphaTauris, pass them 2 AlphaTauris, and if he can do that, he can get back 5th in this year's World Championship. With that in mind, we're going to play that audio through now. We're going to go through that audio and determine the nature of the communications. Put yourself in the position of being Lando Norris with all that we've just discussed, all that we've just exposed about. This is the context of what is actually going on in his world at that time. And then we'll see what the communications are and whether they reflect that. Right, as you can see, 1:28:20. Here's the video of it.
Okay, there's double yellow flags, turn 14. Safety car deployed, safety car deployed. So drive to the Delta, drive to the Delta. There's a car in the barrier on the exit of 14.
Good information. Okay, so he's informing his driver there's an obstacle, where it is, and what his driver needs to do to try and best avoid that. That's normal.
So stay on the delta, please.
So, immediately, as you are crossing the line now, you are lapped. Okay, you've come out having pitted for these tyres, you're behind the leader. We've now got a crash and the safety car is deployed. You know, as Lando Norris, that you have to wait behind the leader in this safety car snake. You've done it time and time again. You're an experienced Formula 1 driver now. You know how a safety car works. You know that you are trying to catch Gasly and Tsunoda to try and secure 5th in this year's World Championship. You know that they are further up the road and will end up behind the safety car snake. So, straight away, you're going to be a bit frustrated in as much that, oh, they're disappearing on it. In fact, no. Are you going to be frustrated? There's going to be two elements to this. There's going to be the anticipation. Are we going to get going again? Is there enough time in this race in order to restart? Because if there's time to restart, it will be good. If there's not time to restart, well, it's bad because I've lost. Okay, they're the two scenarios. They are the only two scenarios, okay? If we can restart, then I will be right behind them. Okay? In order to restart, we have to carry out the mandatory procedure. Okay? As a lapped car, I will get released, and that 11 and a bit seconds I was behind Gasly, that will be reduced to nothing. I will be right on his tail. So when we restart, I'll be right on his back, and I should have a chance of overtaking him. I won't have to close them 11 seconds, and then I wouldn't have to get past him and close the further 3 seconds, because Tsunoda would be directly in front of him. So if this can restart, happy days, I've got a chance here of passing the two AlphaTauris that I need to pass. But on the flip side of it, it might not restart. And if it doesn't restart, well, I'm stuck here in this position that I'm in. And that's not enough points. Okay? Yes, I might have currently enough points to overcome Charles Leclerc, but Carlos Sainz has leapfrogged the both of us. So I'm still in 6th position. And actually, if Leclerc picks up a point, then I'll actually be down in 7th. So there is that jeopardy. If there are retirees in the order and that boosts Leclerc up, and it doesn't like in between after Norris, for example, if either of the two Alpines retire, or both of them retire, or whatever, if Leclerc is boosted up into a point scoring position into 10th and gets a point, well, that means Norris is dropped down to 7th in the championship. So now, safety car. Think of Norris. Put yourself in Norris's position. Racing is neutralised. The reality is, whether he'll know this, I don't know. If I was a Formula 1 driver, it's something I would want to know. Because I would want to be working out strategy calls myself when I was driving. I would want to have a rough idea about what would be the best thing to do. And when the team gave me options, I would know what the answer would be based on what I believe would be the right thing to do, how things were feeling and what the possibilities were. So I want to know how long these safety car situations last. And therefore, if I was offered the notion of, do you want to change for soft tyres, because the team was speculating, I'd go, well, no, I don't think we're going to get racing on this. I don't want to risk losing track position because I don't think we're going to go racing again. These incidents take on average 5.5 laps to clear up. This particular one, Latifi's car caught fire. That prolonged it. Do you think the catching fire was the actual element that screwed up the master plan? I'll cover that in a future video. We'll have a look. Anyway, so it's touch and go whether this thing will restart. To restart, from now, they're going to have to recover the car and sweep the track within about 2.5 laps of the lapping behind the safety car. And the track be declared clear within 2.5 laps. So on that next half lap, they can release the lapped cars, and that enables the 4th lap to be that mandatory lap given to those released cars to catch the back of the pack. And that's the only way the 5th remaining lap in this race will be a racing lap. To clear Latifi's car out of the way, to sweep the track, to declare that track safe, all within 2.5 laps is going to take some doing. It's going to take a lot of doing. You add into the mix, it's now caught fire, and they're now using an extinguisher on that to put the fire out, and that's going to be hot as well, so you can't approach it immediately. So all these elements add time, and that eats away laps. It's highly likely this is going to be a safety car finish. So, anyway, let's carry on with the audio.
And there's currently 5 laps to go.
Like for the championship, how many positions do I gotta try and get?
Okay, Lando, as it stands, we'll be...
As it stands, Lando, well, Leclerc was in 12th, but now he's in 11th because the car that was ahead of him, your teammate, Daniel Ricciardo, you pitted Daniel Ricciardo onto fresh soft compound tyres. Oh, that added a bit of pit lane activity, didn't it? It added a bit of pit lane activity. So it all looked crazy with the tyres. But what that's actually done, that's actually moved Leclerc up a place to jeopardise the potential of him now starting to get some points. So if he managed to overtake Ocon and you don't move up any positions now, Norris, then actually you drop down to 7th in the World Championship. Your team really helped you there by not defending your position by keeping them out on track to keep Leclerc in 12th, didn't they? Well done you, McLaren. Well done you. Anyway, let's go back a little bit.
Okay, Lando, as it stands, we're beating Leclerc, but Sainz will beat us. In order to get him, we need to overtake...
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
So, Sainz is leapfrogged them, yeah. In order...
We need to overtake Tsunoda, who's 2 cars ahead.
So you need to overtake Gasly and Tsunoda. So as it stands, that's what you need to do. This is without Perez retiring.
So in front is Hamilton, then Gasly, then
I'm stuck
Tsunoda.
behind the leader now, and they're all ahead of the safety car, so...
Yes, that's right, Lando. How does this work, Lando?
It's impossible.
It's impossible, absolutely right. Well, it's not impossible. What needs to happen, Lando, is that incident needs to be cleared up, and then the clerk of the course needs to declare the track safe, and once that's done so, then the message will be given to all of the cars that the lapped cars are going to be released, and then the safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. So you'll have a lap at least with which to catch you'll have the rest of the lap that you're released on, plus a further lap to attempt to catch the back of the pack. And if you do that, you'll be right behind Gasly and Tsunoda, the 2 cars that you would need to overtake to get 5th in the championship. But then you'd have to hope that there was still some time left in that event to go racing again. And if you cannot be released before the completion of lap 56, then there won't be any time. Because if the earliest you can get released is lap 57, then lap 58 will be that lap given to you to try and catch the back of the pack. It's not a racing lap. The earliest racing lap could be the beginning of a lap 59, but there isn't one because the end of lap 58 is the end of the race. So that's the situation as it stands, Lando.
Behind the leader now, and they're all ahead of the safety car, so it's possible.
Yeah, the way it's looking, Lando, it's about fixed your position there, isn't it? That is you. You're now in 8th position in that race. That's as good as it's going to get for you. 4 points. You're going to be level on points with Charles Leclerc, who was the guy ahead of you. You are going to overtake him in the championship standings by virtue of you getting more third place positions that season. But Carlos Sainz is going to leapfrog you both. So you're still going to be in 6th position. What you've got to hope here is now, Lando, is somebody like Esteban Ocon or Fernando Alonso doesn't retire during this safety car period. You know, you've got to hope that Esteban Ocon on those old hard compound tyres doesn't get a slow puncture like you had. Because if he has to go into the pits with a puncture, Leclerc will move up to 10th. And that'll be a point for Leclerc, won't it? And that'll mean that 1 point will drop you down to 7th in the World Championship. Oh, what jeopardy! What jeopardy! You could go from 6th to 7th. When 10 laps before, you'd gone from 6th to 5th. That's what you're on course for. That slow puncture costing you from 5th to 7th in the World Championship. Your career record, Lando. Okay, so this is the second time that Norris has passed the Latifi incident. Have we still got the PowerPoint up here? Wait there. Let's have a look to see if I've still got that. Yes, I've still got this one up. If it will, no, it doesn't want to fire that up for me. Give me a second. Right, so here it is. Lando's second time past turn 14. But this is the view from Alonso's car. And the car directly ahead of Alonso, well, there's Norris. This is Norris's car behind Hamilton's car, and there's a safety car. This is Norris that I'm circling with my cursor at the moment. He's the one that's now passing Latifi's car. So he can still see that Latifi is on track. The car is on track, and now there's a load of white powder there. This fire extinguisher has gone off. So what does that say to you as a driver? Oh, this isn't gonna be clearing up, is it? This car is still here. They've not done anything with it. If anything, the situation has got worse because there's now all this white powder. So they've clearly had to put a fire out. So it's going to take even longer, and they're going to have to sweep the track. Not looking good, is it? Not looking good. So we'll go back to this. As you can see, tracker view. They're coming round turn 14 now.
A little bit more brake warm-up if possible.
So, whilst the race engineer is telling him to, keep the car in the right operating window, just in case they go racing again, the reality is, if you've got a view of this track, if you've got a view of this incident, you can be informing your driver, look, the car's now caught fire. These things take about 5.5 laps. It's most likely that this is going to be a safety car finish. It's most likely this is going to end behind the safety car. That would be authentic. That would be knowing the data, knowing how long these things take, observing the incident, and then utilising all the information that you have at your disposal and saying, right, this is what I predict. This is most likely going to be a safety car finish, Lando. Okay? Commiserations, you're not going to have chance of catching Gasly and Tsunoda. Okay, they've obviously linked up with the back of the snake. And by the time this is cleared up, even when they release you and, giving you that period to catch the back of the pack, I don't think there's going to be any racing laps left in this, Lando. We don't hear any of these teams ever say that, yet that is the reality of the situation. That is the truth. And which of these race engineers, through all the videos that I've produced so far about this, where have you heard that? You haven't. Why are you not hearing that? Ask why you're not hearing that simple prediction that, yeah, we think this is going to be a safety car finish. Why have you not heard that? That would indicate there's some dirty shenanigans going on. There's some prior agreement that they've agreed to a racing finish. We've heard it afterwards. Oh, the teams agreed that they didn't want to end this race behind the safety car. You're not allowed to make an agreement like that. You're not allowed to determine, before a race happens, how the race is going to end. If an incident takes place that needs the intervention of the safety car and it's close to the end of the race, well, if there's no time left to deal with that incident in the correct manner and carry out the correct procedures, the race ends behind the safety car. That is all there is to it. There is no, oh no, we're gonna throw all the regulations out of the window just to make out an exciting finish of this. Because no, the FIA International Sporting Code dictates that the regulations will never be applied to prevent competition or impede any competitor in the event. So you can't do that. And all teams know that. You can't throw the rules and regulations out the window just to contrive a grandstand finish, a happy ending. Okay, a lot of people did get a happy ending out of it, but you're not allowed to do that. Okay, you're not allowed to do that. Now, I did go through the footage of Alonso in his car. I was looking for whether there's an LED that illuminates on his steering wheel when he makes his communications. Couldn't see it. I might be missing something, but there appears to be by his left thumb a toggle switch or button that he seems to be pressing and releasing, and then about 4 seconds later we hear his audio. So that's what I believe is happening. What I also picked up on is after the race, when Norris finally gets informed that he got a slow puncture, there is a delay. There's like a consideration period, it felt like, that before Norris even commented. And whether that was him processing, I don't know. But what I did pick up there, it was that Norris was using his left hand to be waving to the crowd at that point in time. So whether that was what made him not directly communicate back to his race engineer? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, only Lando Norris will know what he was thinking at that moment in time. But like I say, his hand was waving to the crowd. Didn't have to wave to the crowd. Could have put his hand back on the steering wheel and communicated as and when he wanted to. But like I say, part of the time where there was no communication between the team and Lando acknowledging the fact that they just told him it was a slow puncture, he was waving to the crowd for a part of that time. Anyway, we'll carry on with the audio.
Front brakes look good now. And we can have recharge back on, please. Okay, Lando, so to be very clear, it's not over yet. Both AlphaTauris pitted behind the safety car and they fitted softs. And
right, it's not over yet, Lando. Now, let's get a perspective of where Lando is on track. This was the previous lap. This is from Alonso's camera. Okay, this is the following lap. This is where it is now. He's coming round turn 14. And this is the crane on track, craning away Nicholas Latifi's car. This is the end of lap 55. So they'll be going on to lap 56 shortly. Lap 56 has to be that lap whereby Lando Norris is released on lap 56, right? You can see the crane is there now. It will know that the marshals will still need to sweep the debris off the track and sweep the powder off the track, and that the clerk of the course will need to declare the track safe before he can be unlapped. So the earliest he can be unlapped now is going to be starting on lap 56. Providing he can unlap and be released on lap 56, lap 57 will be spent going around the track and joining the back of the safety car snake, and then he'll be back beyond the back of Gasly and Tsunoda. So that is the actual situation, the real situation as to when this is actually playing. So if we go back to the video and just rewind 10 seconds to see what the race engineer is saying.
Okay, Lando, so to be very clear, it's not over yet. Both AlphaTauris pitted behind the safety car and they fitted softs. And
let's be very clear, Lando, it's not over yet. But the two cars that you've got to pass, they've now on fresh soft compound tyres. Whoopie-doo. Let's be clear, it's not over yet. But they, if we get a racing lap, they're going to be on qualifying tyres. You're on the mediums. Oh, yeah. What would you rather be on? But let's be clear, it's not over yet, Lando.
They're right behind Carlos. We just need to not lose position at the restart.
Let's be clear, it's not over yet. Hang on a minute. The communication you gave earlier, Lando was concerned about wanting to finish 5th in the championship. He knows at this stage that he's ahead of Leclerc. Well, he's level on points with Leclerc, but ahead on countback for better finishes, better positions finishes throughout the season. But he still lost 5th position to Carlos Sainz. So he knew he had to pass Tsunoda and Gasly to overtake Sainz in the championship. So this message isn't telling him that he's going to get past Sainz in the championship, is it?
Not over yet. Both AlphaTauris. Okay, Lando, so to be very clear, it's not over yet.
Let's be very clear, Lando, it's not over yet. Well, it's not over yet, Lando. You can still overtake Sainz if you pass them 2 cars, but they're now on soft compound tyres. Is it that? It's not over yet because, well, you're 4 points ahead. Well, sorry, you're 4 points currently in the race ahead of Leclerc. But if he gains a position, then, and he's on medium compound tyres and Ocon's on hard 36 lap old hard compound tyres, if he gains a position and finishes 10th, then he'll get a point and that'll drop you down to 7th. Are you being told that?
Both AlphaTauris pitted behind the safety car and they fitted softs and they're right behind Carlos. We just need to not...
And they're right behind Carlos.
Not lose position at the restart.
You just need to not lose position at the restart. Why do you, like, if you don't lose position at the restart, well, that means you're going to finish 8th, okay? Because you're in 8th at the moment, you're going to finish 8th. So if you don't lose position at the restart, you're going to finish 8th. You're going to get 4 points. That's going to make you level on points with Charles Leclerc. Carlos Sainz is in 4th place. He's going to get 12 points. He's going to overtake you, and he's going to overtake Charles Leclerc. That's going to move him up to 5th. Sainz used to be your teammate at McLaren. You'd like to beat Sainz as well, wouldn't you? Ideally, Nando. But what jeopardy? At the restart, we've got Esteban Ocon in 10th position. Directly behind him is Charles Leclerc in 11th. Charles Leclerc, the guy that you're going to be level on points with if you stay where you are. If he picks up a point, if he overtakes Ocon, oh, that means you're not okay. You drop down to 7th in the championship. Who's your race engineer? You see that rower? That British rower? No, I think that was Ricciardo's engineer. Not the sharpest tools in the box, these lads.
Lose position at the restart. Both AlphaTauris pitted behind the safety car and they fitted softs and they're right behind Carlos. We just need to not lose position at the restart.
We just need to not lose position at the restart. So we're affirming a restart, even though we've just come in by the scene where there's a crane removing the track. We've got to be released on this lap we're just about to go on to. That's not necessarily going to happen. Because within the next half a lap, we've got to make sure that the track is swept. The clerk of the course is happy that it's all safe. Check the barriers. And then he's given the message to all of the cars that lap cars are going to now be released on lap 56. So that's got to happen. And then Lando's got to catch the back of the pack. So he'll be directly behind Gasly and Tsunoda. Okay. Because Perez is still on track now. Right. Which means Gasly's in 7th. Lando Norris would be in 8th. Alonso 9th. Ocon 10th. Leclerc 11th. And if we've achieved that, if we've been released on 56, if we've then done the unlapping lap on 57, we get to race on lap 58. And you're telling me as a race engineer, I only need to stay where I am and not lose position and I'll be all right. What if Leclerc overtakes Ocon on that last lap? What if he gets the jump on him at the start of that last lap and Leclerc gets 10th? Well, that drops Lando down. Before you pitted Lando for your slow puncture, he was on course for 5th in the World Championship. Your advice you're giving him now is going to drop him to 7th in the World Championship. Oh, you told me I just didn't need to lose position. I didn't even try and overtake Gasly or Tsunoda. You told me I didn't need to lose. Oh, yeah, we forgot about Leclerc. Yeah, he managed to overtake Ocon and got the point that he needed to stay ahead of you in the championship. Bearing in mind, again, if you check out the thumbnail, that in my thumbnails of black and white, so the black being just the audio and the white being my analysis of the audio, I left Charles Leclerc's audio, I let that thumbnail, I did that in red because that was different. That was so far the only one I've analysed whereby his race engineer was solely focused on the outcomes for Charles Leclerc. Okay, every other team, they were happy to ignore the rules, but they were concerned about Max Verstappen. Every other team was. Oh, you'll get blue flags to Max. Oh, yeah, but Max should be 2 cars in front of me, says Fernando Alonso. How does that work when you're in 8th position, Fernando? Why should Max be 2 cars in front of you? What have we just missed? Let's go back. We've all missed something. Let's go back and we'll miss something. And let's see then how it changes the dynamics of the situation. What's happening now? Who's at turn 16? Oh, that blue dot's just glitched. What's going on? Checo, we need to retire the car. We need to retire the car. Box. Really? Yep, box. That would be Perez being told he needs to retire from 3rd. Once again, as a driver of a Formula 1 car, not knowing that there was a problem with his car. You couldn't make it up, could you? So what has that done? What that has done, that has promoted Lando Norris now from 8th up to 7th. What's that done to the point standings? Well, that's put him up to 8 points for 7th, isn't it? Is it 6? No, it's 6 points. 6 points. So that's put him 2 points ahead of Leclerc, but that's dragged Leclerc into 10th place. So therefore, what does that mean? That's means that Leclerc's got 1. So he's actually 1 point ahead of him in the championship. But if Leclerc overtakes Ocon, that will make the points the same. If Leclerc can overtake both Ocon and Alonso, well, that'll overtake Norris. It's looking better for Norris at the moment. You just don't need to lose position. As long as you don't lose position, Lando, you'll probably be all right. Oh, he said that back before turn 14. What did you know? What did you know? Why did you know before turn 14 that as long as Lando didn't lose position, he wasn't going to lose position in the championship? Because now with Perez retiring and that boosting Lando up to now 6 points as opposed to 4, and Leclerc on 1 point, well, actually the difference is rather than Lando getting 4 points and Leclerc getting 0, but Leclerc having a chance of getting 1, okay, to offset everything, meaning that the difference is only 3, and therefore Leclerc remains ahead of Norris. There's the jeopardy. But now the difference is Lando's got 6, Leclerc's on 1. The difference is 5. So Lando's ahead. And even if Leclerc makes the overtake, it only reduces that difference to 4. And Lando remains ahead on countback. Now Leclerc has to pass 2 cars in that last racing lap if we get one. Oh, is that going to happen? Probably not. Who's making these predictions way back at turn 14 that all he needs to do is make sure he doesn't lose position at the restart? But again, on this the Leclerc video, go and check it out. Red thumbnail. It's about now, could be at turn 3, but it's about now that Leclerc gets informed that lapped cars aren't going to be allowed to overtake. So either turn 2 or turn 3. I don't want to misinform you. I need to go back and check that myself. But I noticed that it was significantly ahead of all the cars that I'd reviewed up until date. It's about now, or turn 3, Leclerc gets that notification. Let's see when Lando gets notified that lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. And the other thing was, if you go back earlier in this video, I don't know if I want to rewind it, but the race engineer said that Tsunoda and Gasly on their fresh compound tyres are going to be directly behind Sainz. Well, Sainz is ahead of Bottas. So they're not directly behind Sainz. You've also got Mick Schumacher that's behind Bottas. So that if you're not allowed to go racing like this, but Mick Schumacher needs releasing. So you've got the two AlphaTauris that would be behind Bottas. They'd have to overtake Bottas, and then they'd both have to overtake Sainz. So are you trying to suggest that as long as you don't lose position, Lando, then we're banking on these two AlphaTauris overtaking Sainz, and if they overtake Sainz, then that will knock him down the order, decreasing his points. That'll mean you'll be okay and you'll get 5th in the championship. Is that their prediction? See, there's a lot of different scenarios. There's a lot of different things that could play out here. And these are the things that you've got to weigh up as a strategist. See, I'd missed that one. I've only just thought of that as I'm going through this now because it just clicked in my mind. Hang on a minute. He said them two AlphaTauris are going to be directly behind Sainz. They're not directly behind Sainz. There's Sainz, then there's Bottas, and then we've got Mick Schumacher, who should be being released this lap. And then what that will make is the running order of, once them lap cars are cleared out the way, you're going to have Hamilton, followed by Verstappen, followed by, well, Perez is now gone. That's put Sainz up into 3rd. Oh, that's now put him on 15 points. But the prediction was before when Perez was in play. Okay, let's go back to the prediction when Perez was in play. Sainz is in 4th, 12 points. Bottas 5th, 10 points. Tsunoda 6th, 8 points. Gasly 7th, 6 points. Is he predicting that on the fresh compound tyres, the two AlphaTauris are both going to overtake Sainz? So on one remaining racing lap, because this is assuming that these lap cars are going to be released this lap, you're only going to get one racing lap if they release this lap. Both AlphaTauris are going to get past Bottas and Sainz on one lap, demoting Sainz. And again, this is the assumption that Perez was still in the race. That would give you Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez, the AlphaTauris of Tsunoda, Gasly, and then Sainz. So Sainz would be in 6th, putting him on 8 points, and Lando would be in where he is now, which is 8th. Well, that would work. That would work, wouldn't it? But that's the assumption that both AlphaTauris are going to overtake Sainz on that last lap. But they've discounted the fact that Bottas is in their way as well. So they'd have to take both AlphaTauris. You're saying that Gasly here, that at the moment is in 7th position, is going to move up to, what, 5th, isn't he? Tsunoda's going to overtake both Bottas and Sainz, and Gasly also is going to overtake both Bottas and Sainz on one lap. Well, that's going to take some doing. Well, we'll see.
So Lando, they've said that lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. So Lando,
So when we look at when Leclerc got that message in around turns 2 and 3, look where Norris is now. Count the seconds. Go back, count the seconds as to how long the time difference is between one competitor getting it. This guy in the red, there's 3 cars behind Norris. And when Norris actually gets that message, why the time difference?
Said that lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake.
And the reason being is because the marshals are on track. Go and have a look at the Alonso video. It's fully explained in there.
Okay, Lando Verstappen is 5 cars back.
Well, what's that all about? Okay, because again, I went through the regulations in the Alonso video, in the Alonso breakdown. If it's not safe to overtake, the message, overtaking will not be permitted. Okay, it's not safe. And did they send the message, overtaking will not be permitted? No, they sent the message, which is not an official message. Laps, cars will not be allowed to overtake. That's not allowed. Okay, that is not allowed. Brundle lies about this. Oh, they don't have to release the lapped cars, but that's normally on a wet day. And how long will they wait? You have to release the lapped cars. I've taken you through the safety car regulation. Not one part of them says you can go racing, you can withdraw the safety car without releasing the cars. It doesn't say that. And the reason it doesn't say that, because you can't do it. You cannot withdraw the safety car without releasing the lapped cars. Because by doing that, you create skewed outcomes. You have not restored sporting fairness to all competitors, which is what you have to do, underpinned by the FIA International Sporting Code. You categorically cannot withdraw the safety car until the lapped cars have been released and they've been afforded the time to catch the back of the pack. At least one further lap of the safety car is required. That's required by regulation. The two previous regulations, when it's 48.9 and 48.10, demonstrate exactly what condition has to be achieved, and that is that the safety car is on the track with first down to the last remaining competitor lined up behind the safety car, all in the correct race order. Then and only then can the safety car be withdrawn. And the same applies when cars have been lapped. You have to achieve that reset condition, and that is achieved by applying 48.12. That is how you do it, and that is the purpose of that regulation. Why are you now telling us about Verstappen? This is irrelevant. The only thing that's relevant is lapped cars are not allowed to overtake. Well, that's not an official message. Why is he saying lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake? The reason he'd be saying overtaking will not be permitted is because it's not safe, because the track isn't clear. It's not been declared safe. Why is he talking about Verstappen? Absolutely irrelevant.
We won't get blue flags to begin. Okay, Lando Verstappen is 5 cars back. We won't get blue flags to begin with.
Damn right you won't get blue flags, because you can't go racing. Okay, you're not going to go racing now. You cannot race Pierre Gasly, the guy that is in front of you. Is anybody getting blue flags so you can just go and race Pierre Gasly? Oh, well, that's no waste of time. You were 11 and a bit seconds behind him. Now you're about 1:30 behind him. That's not fair, is it, Lando? What's this? Hang on a minute. I've got blue flags. What are you on about? Who have I got to let by me? Max was nowhere near to approaching, passing me at the time this Nicholas Latifi crashed his car. There's no blue flag situation going on here. What are you talking about? But don't worry, Lando, you won't get blue flags initially. He'll have to have got the blue flags and gone past all the other 4 cars that he needs to get past before you get the blue flags, Lando. What a load of rubbish. It's not allowed to happen. Here we go. Let's have a look here. When we're coming by here, around on lap 56, just to show you again, that was 55, and then next timestamp, this is 56. This is Lando's car here, just in front of Fernando's car, who we've got the cockpit view of. This is Lando who I'm circling, and these are the marshals on track that Lando can see to his right. This is the end of lap 56. This was that lap that they're not releasing the lapped cars. Lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. The reason that lapped cars can't overtake is because it's not safe to overtake. Therefore, you continue lapping behind the safety car until it's safe. When it's safe, then the clerk of the course will give the message to unlap the cars. Once the last car has passed the leader, the safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. That's the mandatory regulation. That's there to afford these release cars the opportunity to catch the back of the pack, to restore sporting fairness to all competitors, and that is the only way that race can resume. I'll keep saying it. I'll say it 1,000 times. I'll say it 100,000 times, because that's what it is. And no lawyer will be able to say, well, they can try and say something different, but they can't disprove it. They can't say, oh, well, actually, technically, if you say that this word means something else, then you can read this rule to read like this. Yeah, what does it produce, dickhead? What does it produce? Oh, it produces a 2-car race-off. You can't do that, dickhead, can you? Can you do that in any other Grand Prix of the season? If that happened in any other Grand Prix of the season, would every other team protest it? Oh, yes, they would, wouldn't they? Yeah, because you're not allowed to do it. Can you block third place off from even being able to challenge for that? Oh, no, you can't, can you? No, everybody would protest, wouldn't they? Yes. Can you leave position 7 a lap behind position 6, when previously position 7 was closer to P6 than P2 was to P1? No, you can't do that, can you? Just because some dickhead has crashed. Every team would protest that, wouldn't they? So, Mr. Lawyer that wants to argue what a word means and that the different interpretation of the meaning of the word can change the entire regulation completely. Yeah. Jog on. Jog on. I will smash you. And the judges know that as well. The judges know that. The barristers know that, because the barrister would not put that argument in a court of law because they'd look a dickhead. And they'll look a dickhead on global television. And they'll be destroyed, and that'll be their career over. Understand that. Any barrister that tries to put forward this notion of wording for interpretation, their career will be over. They will be destroyed by a nobody on global television. Think about that. All you budding barristers out there, you're going to be having your careers over if you try and defend Formula One. That's how it's going to be. But people do a lot of things for money. This is the way things work. Anyway, we'll carry on.
Lando, can we have ACS button, please?
Lando, we're on lap 57 now. You know, even if they do give the order to unlap this lap, then we know that the next lap's going to be still a safety car lap. It's going to be a safety car finish, mate. The present standings with Perez having retired, well, that means that Sainz now up to 3rd position. So he's pretty much guaranteed, providing he finishes, guaranteed to get 5th in the championship. You are now still ahead of Leclerc, though, so that pretty much cements 6th position in the championship for you. Just keep it on the track, fella. It's going to be a safety car finish, but well done.
And no more brake warm-up, please.
Yeah, there's no point really. It's going to be a safety car finish. Just make sure that, you know, there's enough temperature in the brakes for them to actually work when you need them to. But yeah, don't worry about it too much. Safety car finish.
And Lando, if possible, big lift into turn 9.
Green on the safety car.
Yeah, they want
So
you
that
to
car's
overtake
passed.
the safety car. They want you to overtake the safety car.
Yeah, but don't worry about it because, you know, it's lap 57 now. So once the last lapped car passes the leader, the safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. The following lap's lap 58, mate. It's a 58 lap race. It's a safety car finish.
Right, let's go.
But doesn't matter, mate. Just poodle around the track because, you know, once you've caught the back of the pack, it'll be the end of the race.
Recharge off. ACS button. So this safety car is ending.
Well, that's not allowed to happen. What's going on here? What's going on here?
The safety car is in this lap.
That's not allowed to happen. The safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap. Well, I'm supposed to be allowed to catch Gasly and Tsunoda, the guys that I should have been racing. I mean, it's not going to make any difference because the race will be over by the time I do, but you can't go racing without me being allowed to catch them. What's going on here? So you've left me as a sitting duck. You're allowing these cars behind me to have a chance of passing me, and so I can lose position, but I've got no chance of gaining position. What are you doing to me? You can't do this. Why aren't you complaining to the stewards? Why aren't you complaining to race control?
Strap 5, please. Strap 5.
And this is the race, the lap of the race where I've got to proceed around the track at a reasonable speed, you know, safe speed, with no overtaking, making every effort to catch the back of the pack. Are they racing me now? They're not allowed to overtake me now, are they? So you're giving all them other cars 1 lap of racing, but you're making me have to defend for 2 laps. That's not fair. And that's all I can do. I can only defend because I can't attack anybody.
Overtake available. Alonso will have DRS.
Overtake available to use defensively. Thanks for that. And has he got DRS or not? Know your job, dickhead.
They don't have DRS.
You're lucky that Alonso and Ocon couldn't pit for fresh softs and get back out in position, because otherwise you'd have left me as a sitting duck. And then you'd have let me go racing like this, making me defend for 2 laps, have no chance of actually gaining position, and ruining my chances in the World Championship. I wanted to finish 5th this year. I wanted to show the world how good I was. You've ruined my career. What are you going to do back for me? Don't worry, Lando. We'll give you a few wins in 2024. After we've made sure Max is far enough ahead of you.
Okay, mate, that is the checkered flag.
Yeah.
Sounds thrilled, doesn't he? Sounds thrilled, yeah. So you pitted me with a supposed slow puncture that you told me to push really hard, and I felt I was going all right. Then you told me to box, so I did what you told me to do. You told me what you told me. You tell me later. I still don't know why I had to pit. You shafted me. I was in 5th, dropped me down to 10th. Now this has happened, and that's meant I'm in 6th in the championships, where otherwise I'd have been 5th.
ACS button, please, and recharge off. So Sainz kept 3rd. Verstappen won.
Sainz kept 3rd. What do you mean Sainz kept 3rd? Thought you said he was in 4th. What happened there? How did he get 3rd? Did he overtake Perez? You didn't tell me that Perez had retired.
Yeah, no.
And
Yeah or no?
we had a slow puncture, mate. We had a slow puncture.
Okay, this is the point in time where he's waving to the crowd with that left hand, which is the hand that he tends to use, well, he does use to press the button, I think. That's what it appears to be from the images I see. I mean, of course, he could be thinking, slow puncture my arse. I know how my car felt. But he says this.
Yeah, nothing we could have done.
Yeah, nothing we could have done. Didn't say that he felt that it was a slow puncture. Didn't say either way. Didn't confirm nor deny, did he?
Another puncture is fine. Good job, everyone. We did what we could. Thanks for the year. It's been pretty fun.
Don't. Yeah, it's fine. Another puncture. That's fine. Nothing we could have done. Doesn't say something didn't feel quite right, did he? Just went, oh yeah, if it was a puncture, it was a puncture. Whatever you say. Whatever you say.
My best year, obviously, with my pole and the podiums that I've got. We did our best. We'll get them next year. Coxie, Babs, absolute taste. Briggsy, everyone is leaving. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Wish you all the best in the next chapter of your lives. Thank you so much, everyone.
So a lot of these race engineers like telling their drivers who won, oh, Verstappen won. Like, don't care. This is my championship. I want to come 5th in the championship.
Nicely said. Can you do Max?
Don't care that they set it up for him to have a race. You didn't set it up for me to have a race, did you? You didn't set it up for Lando Norris for him to have a chance of gaining positions to see if he could get enough points in that World Championship to secure 5th. Didn't do that, did you? Are you going to make a protest? You're going to make a protest that the regulations haven't applied here. And you've not objected to these regulations, these rules being broken as they're happening. You're not calling any of that out. What's going on here? What's going on here if nobody's calling out these rules being broken as they're being broken? Oh, and in commentary, everybody's telling you that this can happen and this doesn't have to happen. But that's normally on a wet day. And if that's the case, how long will it be before the safety car will come back in? Oh, you're not allowed to do that, Brundle. Safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap, once the last lapped car has overtaken the leader. Oh, but how long will they wait? The safety car will return to the pits at the end of the following lap, Brundle. Yeah, but how long will... How many times do I have to tell you, Martin? How long? It has to be at least that amount of time.
Maximum speed and big lift into turn 9, please.
So, there's a lot going on in that video. There's a lot of things I've mentioned which are hypotheticals. Could this happen? Could that happen? Could the other happen? But the thing is, the reality is, if you're in that position, if you're Lando Norris and if you're his race engineer, they're the things you have to be thinking about. You have to be considering yourself. You have to be considering your own race and the impact of that on your championship. So, did the communication between Lando and his race engineer reflect the types of things that I've identified in there that were factors that could affect his championship position? They didn't, did they? They were just, the race engineer was just informing him, oh yeah, this is now what's going to happen. But that's not allowed to happen. Why are you just saying that? This isn't right. Why are you even suggesting that that's even a possible scenario? It's not. Look at this, the impact on Lando Norris. His race is over. Why should anybody else get to race? Lando cannot race the car that's in front of him, which ultimately was Gasly. Right? He does not have that chance of passing Gasly and getting 6th, and then possibly even passing Tsunoda for 5th. He doesn't have that chance. So if Lando doesn't have that chance, why should Max get that chance? Why? Why should Alonso be given the chance to pass Lando? Well, you're not giving Lando the chance of passing anybody. Why should anybody have the chance to pass him? That's not sporting fairness to everybody, is it? It's not. Skewed outcomes. Hence, there is no interpretation of 48.12. No interpretation whatsoever. It is what it is. It was written that way for a reason. It will have been written in a legal manner on the grounds that you write it this way so that it means a certain thing. That is why it was written that way. And then what you have is somebody try, well, you really think that Jonathan Wheatley in those last 5 laps would have got the regulations out, and the sporting code that's this thick, as Brundle will tell you, and was looking through them to see where he could find a loophole or a grey area to exploit with that miraculous legal brain of his. Yeah, do you think he was trying to do that in those last 5 laps, or do you think this whole thing was pre-planned? And then they contrived this cover story. Oh, yes, because then Red Bull went into this appeal afterwards and presented their version where they argued that the regulations can mean something else. And even though the Red Bull argued that they could mean something else in that steward's appeal for the first time ever, it seems that all of the teams knew not to argue about it whilst it was happening in real time. That's rather strange, isn't it? None of the teams has got an authentic reaction to go, well, what are you doing? That's not allowed. Oh, Red Bull must have told them their legal interpretation beforehand when agreeing to this racing finish that would benefit everybody financially. By arousing the kiddies, that retains your audience. That means cha-ching, more money for everybody. Just go with it, everybody. Whatever happens, just go with it. Don't call it out. Just pretend it's normal. Just pretend it's normal. Oh, but that would be a conspiracy theory, wouldn't it? If you point out that it appears that every team is going along with breaking the rules. Them rules are being broken by the governing body of the sport. The teams of commentators commentating on the sport are lying about what the rules are and telling us what might happen before it happens, even though it's not allowed to happen. That would appear that all of these parties are aware that something is going to happen. They might have conspired to discuss this ahead of it happening. Oh, that's just a conspiracy theory. Well, there's evidence of them all doing the same thing and it all being wrong. That would suggest that they have all conspired. A conspiracy. That's not a theory. That actually happened. Anyway, that'll do for the end of this one. And the next one will be the next car up the road ahead of Norris, which will be Pierre Gasly in the B team. Okay, Red Bull B team. So Red Bull get 4 cars. They get Max Verstappen and his 3 musketeers who are there to defend Max, because that's what Max needs. Max needs to win a championship. Max needs a car that they overspent on. So they broke the budget cap to spend more money on developing that car in the 2022 car, because otherwise he's not got a car that's good enough. So Max needs overspending, cheating through overspending. Max needs the FIA to not penalise him, allowing him to just drive his car at Lewis Hamilton all season and not get punished. Max needs a B team with both his own teammate and the 2 B team drivers serving to defend Max and try and take as many points off Lewis Hamilton as possible. Christian Horner saying to Gasly at Monaco, make sure you keep Hamilton behind you. You in the B team, that's your role. It will affect your future career, Pierre. This is Christian, the team, the overall team boss, talking to you in the B team. Make sure you do the job that I'm asking you to do. Max needs that. Max needs the rules broken in the final Grand Prix of the season to hand him the championship. And you got Coulthard telling you, oh, Max might be the greatest ever. Thanks for your valuable insight there, David Coulthard. Thanks for your valuable insight. Yeah, you never thought you'd go from Formula One to the adult entertainment industry, keeping the main stars aroused, would you, David? That's a fall from grace. That's a fall from grace. Depends who grace is, I guess. Anyway, amazing. That'll do on this video. We will be back with Pierre Gasly soon. Thank you for your time.